Hello my dear viewers, welcome back to Ruhoni Sewing and welcome back to a new series. In this series we are going to make a wrap dress. We are going to start by making a basic pattern for a wrap dress, and without further delays, let us start. And here are the materials needed. We have our set of rulers. We have the square ruler, curved ruler and a straight one, and then we have our tape measure, rubber and a pencil. We also have our basic pattern for the front and back. Now let us start by sketching our dress. We are going to start with the back piece. We are going to have some kind of the belt at the waist and a center back seam, and for our front we are going to have like a V-neck, and we are going also to tie our dress at the side. So these are my pattern. I've already traced them, so I'm going to use these patterns. We have this one here for our front and the bottom one is for our back. Okay, so let us go back to our drawing. As you can see here, we are going to have some sort of a belt at the waist, as you can see, but also we need to be reminded that this is a two-piece dress and not a one-piece. Okay. Another point for our back and front pieces is from the waist going down, the length has to be the same. For most people, let me first align our patterns. This distance from the waist going up is usually not the same for the front and back. For my client here, the distance is very minimal, as you can see. The distance from the front shoulder to the waist for the front and from the nape to the waist for the back, they are always different for most people. And so we are going to start with our back pattern. So for my shoulder, I decided to have 3.5 inches. That is the length of the shoulder, and for the neck, I dropped it by 2 inches. Then what I usually do, I took my square ruler and draw a straight line which is perpendicular to the center back. Okay, and then take your curved ruler and now draw your back neckline. But if you can draw it directly, then that is okay, but for me I usually use this method. And now, without forgetting, our shoulder length is 3.5. I usually write it down before I forgot. So for our back piece, now we are done. Okay, we don't have any other modification. Now we are going just to cut here at the waist. Remember, we have a two-piece dress. So what I did, I just joined the bottom part of our back piece, ending at the hip, starting at the waist. I joined it to a pattern paper. And now what we are going to do, I'm going to measure now from the waist going down, and we are going to measure 29 inches. So we are going to measure along the center back line. We measure 29 inches and put a mark on our center back line. Then take your ruler and draw a line from this point going inwards. Then after, join it with a line coming from your hip line. So your pattern should look like this. This is our hip line all the way to the bottom of our dress. Next, extend this dot line all the way down. Here we are. I've already done so. So because our dress is an A-line dress, we need to do some modification here. We need to add some centimeters and then join that line to the hip. For this A-line, I don't want it to start from the waist. I want it to start from the hip. So like I said, we are adding 5 centimeters or 2 inches. Extend that line. Then join that line to the hip line, just like this. Okay. And so now I want to get rid of the sharp corner here at the end. Measure going up 1.5 centimeters or 2 centimeters. Put a mark. And then take your curved ruler and draw a curved line here at the corner, just like this. So our final modification is to close this dart here. So now let me get out the pins. I have already secured it well with the sellotapes here. That is our waist all the way up to the bottom of our dress. Now let us finish by closing the dart. So we are going to cut the line up to here and then cut this line also up to the same point. While cutting, remember we are not going to cut all the way through. We are going to leave a little, just a little part hanging. Now close your dart. Here I'm using a mask tape. Make sure to close it well. So after closing the dart, this is the flare added to the bottom part of our dress. Now let us finish this pattern by taking care of the hip line, making sure there are no pointing corners or papers coming out. And here are the two pieces for our back pattern. Now let us proceed with our front pattern. Okay, as usual, we are going to start with our shoulder. Remember it is 3.5 inches. And for my neckline, I'm dropping it by 3 inches. I don't want it to be too deep. Now that I'm start worrying about whatever that can be seen. So I just want it to be 3 inches. And as usual, draw the line as we did with our back. Okay, so before we continue, let us look at our sketch again. That is our sketch for the front. Okay, I want it to be a bit farther away. And as you can see here, this is our waist and that is our middle part of our waist. Okay, this is our center front. Okay, so I'm going to measure from the center front on this waistline up to maybe this point over here. I want it to cover well and not to flip all the time when I'm moving. So I'm going to measure 7 inches going inwards. Okay, that is, I think it will be enough. Okay, and for that matter now, I need to measure from this point here, the center front, going outwards. Okay, so we need to add a pattern paper on the side of the center front line. So I measured 7 centimeters from the beginning of my paper pattern. As you can see, I put a mark and then I took my square ruler and draw a straight line as a mark to know where to place my pattern paper, as you can see here. Okay, now align your pattern well with the line we've just drawn, just like this, and pin your pattern down. So this is your 7-inch line starting here from the center front line. And remember, one part will be inside and the other one it is going to be out. We are going to cut 2 pieces. Now take your tape measure and measure from your extended line of 7 inches, 2 inches going up. Remember, we are going to have this line here. I don't want it to go all the way to the waistline. Okay, put a mark, and now we are going to join the point from the shoulder neckline to our waist. My point here is a bit high, but it's okay. We need to connect now these 3 points. So first I'm going to connect the waist and the neckline with a straight line, and then the shoulder and the neckline. Okay, so here we need to have like a curve connecting from the shoulder to the neckline up to our waist. So my neckline point is a bit higher. We should have a straight line here, either by reducing the length of our shoulder or by deepening our neckline. But all is well. Let us now try to draw the curved line. So I did not want to change the length of our shoulder or the positioning of our neckline for the front. So here I freely tried to make a curved line to connect all these points. After that, take your curved ruler and draw a solid line now that you are sure of your curved line. So we are almost done. Let us now work on this part here of our waist. Now back to our drawing. We have this top part here which is going to be seen from outside. Okay, and this one will be inside. I don't know if you have noticed, but for some wrap dresses this part will come down, will be a bit longer. Okay, so we want to take care of this part here. Okay, so we are going to make like a curve on this part here. measure like half an inch from our waistline, put a mark, and then take your curved ruler and draw a curved line. So our top piece of the front line is going to start all the way from the shoulder to this line here to the side seam. Now let us cut our pattern. Our new center front. Okay, now to our bottom piece. This is now, remember, this is the beginning of our pattern. This is our waist, and this is our 7 inches that we added. Okay, now we are going to start from our waist. We are going to measure 29 inches going down, and this is just exactly what I did. From our waist, I measured 29 inches all the way to the bottom of our dress, okay, up to here. So this is the added piece because the other part is going to be the same as that one of the back. So what we are going to do now, I'm just going to cut all the way up to the hip line. Then as usual, we are going to close the dart, follow the same steps as I did with our back pattern, and trim off the excess pattern. Next, remember to label your pattern. This is our new center front line, okay? And then draw your grain line to show the direction of your grain line, as we always do, and then label your pattern. So let me show you for this part here of our pattern. Take your back pattern, okay? Align it well from the waistline, just like this, making sure the center back line align well with the old center front line, just like this. And here you are, you have your pattern. So if you just want to take a shortcut, you can do it like this, okay? Here is your front bottom pattern. I hope you have noticed one or two things. When you look closely, this line here, the center back line, does not align well with our old center front line. Okay, you can see the space. For whatever position you try to align it, it will not align. And when you look it closely to see what is the problem, then you notice this position of our dart. This is a position for our front piece, okay, and this is for our back piece. The position for the darts are very different. They are not on the same position. The dart distance was the same and the measure of the waist is the same, except for the positioning of the dart. If you still want a shortcut, then take this back pattern and from the center back line add 7 inches as we did with our front pattern, okay? The best way to do like we did with our back pattern, do the modification with your front, okay, all the way to the bottom. So here is our front pattern, the top part of our front pattern, and down we have the bottom part of our pattern all the way to the end of our dress. And here is our back piece, the top piece and the bottom piece all the way to the end. Thank you so very much for watching.